All right, so let's see if everything's working here. Check 1, 2. Make sure you can hear me okay. Make sure you can see me okay. Okay, and if you can, just throw a chat in there, say hello. This is live, and we're going to be talking about some fun stuff today. So hopefully you've got a little time to hang out with me today, and we're going to go through all this stuff. So just wait for a minute here for the latency to reach you, and then just say hello and send her on back. Let me know where you're from. All right, Arno is here. He says, hey, Steve, I hope you are having a nice day. I hope you are too. Let's see here. Super Bro, very nice. Thank you very much. Hello, how are you doing? Anthony is here. Big C is here. Rashad is here. Dale is here. Awesome. Very cool. Saint is here. Steve Ford from London is here. How you doing, Steve? Rory, live and dangerous. Very nice. Rasta Cosmike says, home office in Germany. Awesome. Thanks for joining me. Luke is here. Richard is here. Perfect. Just make sure you can hear me and see me. Let me know if you can hear me okay, you can see me okay, everything like that. Bucket Full of Balls is here. Phil is here. I love saying that on a Friday. Bill, Mike is here. David is here. Hi, David. I am well. Hope you are well too. Edwin is here from Vancouver, British Columbia. Max is here. How you doing, Max? Thank you, bud. Gene is here. Blogger Vlog is here. KS is here. How you doing? Ray is here. Joel is here. Terry is here. We got lots of people already. We already have almost 200 people on here. So Guitars is here. Kelly is here from Louisiana. Jimmy is here. Kendall is here. Very nice. All right. Well, we're going to have some fun today. I got to thinking about something that might be really neat to do because normally I do these Monday guitar motivation things. And, you know, we're usually breaking down ideas for you to think about. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to pick 3 Ozzy guitar players and then break down some licks from them? Not just trademark licks, although that's wonderful too, but more so licks that kind of work with some of the things that we have talked about before, which is like chord chasing, melodic and chord, you know, melody and chord relationships. Sergey is here, Mark is here, John, Patrick is here, Michael is here, Michael E. Lloyd Sr. from Jacksonville, Florida. Jason's here. Hello, Jason. Just saying hi to a couple people. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate you being here. This is so great. Urban is here. James Craig Ciano is here from Atlantic City. No strings break today. Very nice. Michael Bay is here as usual. Thank you, Michael, for being around. Lewis from Buckhead, Georgia is here. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, I know a lot of you own the Spark amp, and I'm going to be using that today. And I actually came up with 3 guitar tones that you can download. And I'm going to get into all this stuff for you. But I built 3 guitar tones that I think turned out actually really, really good. Now, you're going to have to tweak the tones, though, to you know, your guitar, your pickups, that sort of thing. But just so you know, and the other thing, too, is if you're hearing my guitar right now, and I'm actually going to try and get caught up with the chat here. If you can hear my guitar, in my opinion, that sounds really, really good. Normally what I do is I'll run from the headphone out of this. I don't run the USB or anything like that. I've always just run the headphone out. But what I'm doing is I'm running a stereo headphone out, 1/8" jack, and then I'm going into it's a splitter. It's a 1/4 inch. The 1/8" goes into a 1/4 inch. Well, it goes into an 1/8" stereo, and then it splits to 2 1/4 inch. So I'm running a left and a right channel, and then I've got them panned. So it's just an adapter that costs about $6. So I think that's pretty good. Now, again, I can see right here, actually, I'm going to pull this up here. Charlie says, give us that Randy Rhoads tone. Well, that's the thing is, I'm going to do my best to give you a tone that's kind of like each one, but this is just me trying to dial in a tone that kind of sounds like it, but yet it still sounds like something that I'm comfortable with. Okay? So this is the first tone. Let me show you this. So it looks like this. I actually have this up here too. So this is a picture of my iPad. Well, not a picture, it's actually my iPad. So there's my mouse right there. So you're looking at a screenshot of my iPad. So this is my Crazy Train tone. Okay, so the first song we're going to look at here is Crazy Train. Now, we're not looking at the whole solo, and again, hopefully I won't get blocked on YouTube or wherever, but this is what we've got. I want to talk to you about 3 different guitar players. We're going to look at Randy, we're going to look at Jakey Lee, and we're going to look at Zakk Wylde, and we're going to look at their approach to being able to play a lick through chord changes. So the first thing I want to show you before we get into the lick is, hi Dane, Charlie is here, Dennis here, Joe here, Sandrika is here, Chandrika is here, thank you. Thank you everybody. Ron Rice is here, thanks bud. Franca is here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started now. So if we look at the beginning of or not the beginning, but the solo for Crazy Train. And again, I'm not going to play it real accurate right now because I don't want to get blocked or anything until we're actually done with this thing. So I'm going from F sharp to D to B to F sharp. Now we can make an assumption that the first one's F sharp minor to D major. Probably B major, and then F sharp minor. You see, so again, I'm just making an assumption that that's what the chords are probably, because it's all power chords, right? But if we look at the beginning of that, what I used to always be intrigued by was this thing here, this. And the reason is because it fits so perfectly. And again, I know some of you might already know this, but I just thought this would be a really nice place for us to start. So what I'm doing here is, as I'm playing this, let's first talk about just the technique of what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the 14th fret here, okay? And I'm using my middle finger. You might use your first finger or something like that. I like to hold on to my pick. So I've got a 7 and a 10 on the second string, and then the 14th fret here. And what I'm going to do is a double tap. Daywalker is here. He says, Stine time. Very nice. So I'm doing a tap twice, and then I'm going to pull off, and then do a hammer-on. And that's how the beginning of that goes. And again, you can watch this later if you want to, too, if you want to study it a little bit further. And of course, there's all kinds of videos that talk about this sort of thing. But as I do this, let's look at the actual notes that I'm playing. I'm playing an F sharp, an A, and a C sharp. Well, if we think about it, the three notes that I'm playing are actually an F sharp minor chord. F sharp, A, and C sharp make up the F sharp minor. So even though Randy was, in my opinion, an amazing guitar player, he also understood some level of logic or theory, whatever we want to call it, right? Because right there, we're playing the three notes of an F sharp minor chord over the F sharp minor, right? And then it goes from, and we move down and now we're on D, okay? So when I get to the D, what Randy did was he'd do the same thing, only he would take the C sharp note and he would move it to D. So if you think about it, you're playing F sharp, A, and D. Well, if we put that in a different order, we got D, F sharp, and A, which makes a D major chord. You see? So when he's playing, when he gets down to that D, he changes one note, and all of a sudden now he's playing the notes of a D major arpeggio. There's F sharp minor, and then there's D major right there, okay? So remember, if you go out, let me show you this again, for those of you that are just joining. This is the preset that I've created for this. Now again, it's a combination of trying to get something fairly similar to Randy Rhoads a bit, without way too much effect. And what I tend to do, like the delay and reverb are pretty much what I like to do. So that's what I've kind of dialed in. But if you own a Spark and you go to the Tone Cloud and you just look up my last name, Stine, S-T-I-N-E, there's a tag and all these things will pop up. I tried to do Steve Stine and it doesn't pop up. I don't know why that is, but if I type Steve Stine all as one word, then it pops up. So if you could type Steve Stine, it'll pop up all one word. Or if you just type in S-T-I-N-E, it'll pop up. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. All right, so let's keep going now. So we've got this first part here. Now, the next part is kind of interesting because I did some research on this, looking at different people, thinking about the way I used to play this before there were the Googles and internet and YouTube and all those sorts of things. So you just played what you thought it was, right? And so studying some stuff about Randy, what I noticed was back in the day, the way I used to play it, because I always used a whammy bar on my guitar. So after I came off this, I would always do it that way where I would drop down. I would do it there. On 7 and 10, I would pull my whammy bar up and bring it back down. You know, if I'd play it live or whatever, that's just how it was comfortable for me. And this brings up another point. Play these songs the way that it feels the most comfortable to you, unless you're trying to learn something exact from a technical perspective, because you choose to, and that's awesome. We're going to talk about some different players here, and please understand, if you looked at the way Randy played, the way Randy recorded Crazy Train, to the way Randy performed Crazy Train, to the way Jake performed it, to the way Zakk performed it, and everything else, it's always a little different. Okay. Now, there are people out there that really like to play things absolutely note for note, and I think that's wonderful. I've never been really one of those people. I try and get it fairly close, but I still try and remember that I'm the one playing it, so I have to make adjustments so it feels good to me when I'm playing. Okay. And I want to remind you that, because it's so easy to watch somebody else and go, okay, well, that's how they play it. And then you got to figure out what's going to work best for you. So this is a perfect example of that. So this right here, what I used to do is I would play 7 and 10 and I would lift up the whammy bar and then bring it back down. And that's kind of how I got that sound, but it's really not right. Okay. And I've seen people go to 9 and 12 and then they'll do that and they'll use the whammy bar to depress it. Okay. And then bring the pitch down. Okay. That's okay too. I think what Randy did in the studio was after he did, I think what he did was he moved down to the 7th fret, and he did, now it's really noisy right now. He did 7 and he bent it and he tapped the 10th fret. Now, I can't say for sure because I've never seen any footage of anything like that, but that's kind of what it sounds like to me as he's going. Okay, and then he ends with this. Okay, 9th fret to 10th fret. You could do it down here. You could do it there or something like that. And that's all we're going to talk about with that solo. But while I was trying to look for some research on this, there's a couple of live videos you can watch of Randy right around 1981, 1982, doing this live. Now, he's playing a Les Paul, and there's no whammy or anything like that, no tremolo arm, nothing like that. So what he's doing is, in the video, he's going... So he's playing 9-12 and then moving down to 7-10. Now, I am positive that when you listen to the recording, that's not what he's doing, because you can hear the bending happening. But when you watch him live, he's playing this. So even the guy that wrote the song, or wrote the solo, is playing it differently live. Maybe he was having problems like I was where it's kind of noisy and he decided, I don't really want to play it that way. Too much can go wrong, so I'm going to play it this way. I don't have a clue. I'm just saying there's a lot of different ways that you can approach playing some of these things. And if you change it a little bit to make it more accommodating to the way that you like to play, or it sounds cleaner or something like that, I think that's wonderful. I think that there's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay. Notice I'm really not trying to change the pitches or anything. Because I consider this pretty much a trademark kind of lick, and I would try and play it as accurate as I can, but I still have to try and make it sound good on my end. Okay, so if that makes sense, one more time, if you want to get this tone, all you have to do is head out to the Positive Grid Tone Cloud out there with your Spark amp, and look up, again, my last name's Stine, S-T-I-N-E, and you'll find this tone, and then you can tweak it to whatever you like. Okay, whoop, I don't want that, I want this. Okay, so yeah, My Knees Hurt is his name. He says, Randy understood artistic liberty. Absolutely. And I think a lot of players do. And again, I'm not trying to preach that you should or shouldn't. You can do whatever you want. I'm just telling you that I'm going to show you these songs or these parts as best that I can play them, the way that I play them, but some other things that I've come across in the process. So the next one, what we're going to do is we're going to switch over here. Let me do this. We're going to switch over to this tone. So this is my Jake E. Lee tone, okay? And I'm using the BE101 there, which is kind of based off an amp that Jake uses. I don't know if I'm allowed to use the names or not. You can put it in the chat, I'm sure. But anyway, so this tone, let's take a look at this thing here. Okay, so we've got, if I can play it right here. Let's see. Okay, so this is from Bark at the Moon, okay? So at the end of this song, I've always loved this part. Now, the way Jake plays it is way different than the way I play it because I can't play it the way he does. I've never met Jake E. Lee, but it seems like he must have monstrously long fingers because I cannot do what he does, okay? So, oh, perfect, look at this. So, right here, perfect. You're exactly right, Steve. He also used his pick for tapping, see? And that makes sense. Perfect. Thank you for adding that. Okay, so now we're looking at Bark at the Moon. I try to get a tone that is a little bit more toward maybe something that Jake would have. And again, you can download this off the Tone Cloud. If you just head out there, type in my last name Stine, and that will work perfect. Okay, and then he said, did the same bend at the intro. Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much for the information. That's awesome. So here's how I play this. So if you think about it, we're doing the... So those are the chords going on underneath. There's an A minor, a G, an F, and then an E. So as I'm playing this one's going to be a little bit different. So again, I can't speak for the minds of these three amazing guitar players. I can just tell you the way it kind of seems when I look at it, okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm starting off with this. So I'm playing 13, 12, and then the A here. So if I think about it, I'm playing over the A minor, and it just really kind of seems like it's a lick based off that A right there. So not really a chordal structure or an arpeggio per se, just a lick. But he's got this da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, this motif going, this rhythmic motif. So when the G comes up, he moves to 15, 12, and 12. You see? So now I'm doing a pull off from 15 to 12, going down to the 12, and then back to the 12. See that? So I have... Okay, now it moves to an F chord, and he does this. Okay, so if you think about what's happening right there, as I play that, okay, I'm really playing the notes E, C, and F here. So it's almost like I'm playing an F major 7, but there's no fifth in there. Now again, it doesn't matter. I'm just telling you this. It doesn't make any difference. But you can hear the motif. That's the most important thing, is this repetitive idea. And we move up here, I'm playing 17, 13, I'm skipping a string and going down to the 15th fret of the 4th string, where he does some insane thing where he reaches the 10th fret of this string, and there's no way I could do. I'm not even going to pretend to try and do that because it's just going to be awful and make me feel terrible. So I'm just playing 17, 13, and 15 right here. And then he moves down. Now it goes to an E, so he comes back to kind of E minor pentatonic here. Right there. I'm playing the notes D, B, and E. Okay, so if we think about it, it's E minor, so E, G, B, right? So we're using like a minor 7 if we thought about it that way. But again, I don't know that Jake's really thinking, well, major 7 and minor 7, as much as he's probably thinking the pattern, the motif of it, right? See that? That really wide, fast vibrato that he's got is just great. Okay, hey Andy, glad you're here. So at the end, again, you can watch this anytime you want. There'll be a replay on this and that sort of thing, but at the end, I'm just playing this. Let's see. What am I playing? There he is. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going 13, 12, back up 15, 12 right there. Okay? Now again, you can look up the tab or whatever and you're going to find something. I'm sure it's going to be pretty much exactly what I'm doing here. But you see, that's kind of a cool thing too. So the chords are changing and he's changing with those, but you can see he's changing in a vastly different way than Randy did. Okay? So again, I kind of like this tone. And the fact that the way I'm running it into my audio interface in 2 channels and then left and right, it really does sound pretty good. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over to the third one here. All right, so let me switch over to that. So this is the Zakk Wylde one. Now, the Spark amp does have a Marshall in there, but I liked the sound of this BE101. So please understand, again, it's not going to be exact or anything, but I just kind of liked this. I messed with the Marshall as much as I could, trying to get a bit of a more of a Zakk tone, and I just wound up going with this tone here. Again, you can find it on the Tone Cloud, you can download it, but so just so you know, I know he uses a Marshall most of the time, but I just couldn't get it to sound the way I wanted it to sound. So with this one, what we're looking at is this thing here, and this one's really interesting. So we're going to look at that little thing right there. Okay, that thing right there. How do you find my tones on the cloud? You'll go onto the cloud with the app that you've got, and then when you get on there, just type in my last name. Type in Stine, or type in one word like a hashtag Steve Stine. As one word. Don't type in 2 different words because it doesn't come up if you do that. So I was just experimenting and that's what I figured out. So if that kind of makes sense, okay? So anyway, let's break down what we've got going here. I've got a little bit of chorus on here. Again, kind of a Zakk sound. It might not be exact, but Zakk, it might not be exact, but it's pretty close. So what we've got going here is it's starting off on F sharp minor, and then it's going down to D. Let me make sure my notes are correct here because I do have notes. We're going down to D. Yep, F sharp minor to E. That's right. So F sharp minor. And then down to B. So if we think about that, this first thing, again, being Zakk, being more pentatonic, we all know that. Okay, when we start off with this, it's not so much that it fits exactly with an F sharp minor chord in terms of the triad or something like that. It's just more based off, again, sort of a motif movement, okay? So if I look at it, I'm playing B, C sharp, and then I'm playing F sharp. So I have 2 notes of the F sharp, okay? But I have this B in there over that F sharp. So that's a little bit out there. But I think it's more based off the idea. See that? Now, what I want to talk to you about, what I think is really cool about this, and again, doing a little bit of research on this, is how many different ways that I've played it and some of the people that I've found out there, namely Andy James, if you know who Andy is. Andy's a super great guitar player, super cool guy. But his way of playing it is very different than the way I play it. So I thought, let's look at a couple different ways to do this. Let me show you the setup first. So we're going 12 on the second string, 9 and 14 on the first string, and we're just doing that 3-note sequence over and over and over. And we're going to end on that 12. So we're ending just like that. Then what we're going to do, hey Cody, then we're going to move up, and we're going to move up to 14. We're going to play 14, 12, and 16. Now that's what's happening over this E chord. Now again, it's not that it's such a triad connection or an arpeggio connection. It's more of a pentatonic thing, okay? A motif, right? And then he winds up on D, and he really does go up and do a D triad this time. Okay, so I'm playing 15, 14, and 17 this time. So just to recap, I played 12, 9, 14, 14, 12, 16, and then 15, 14, 17. And I'm playing this same sequence over and over and over. Okay? So as I'm playing... Now, the last time, I think, again, it's kind of irrelevant, but I think he just does a pull-off back to 14, because then he gets ready for this, that lick. And I think what it's doing there is going 19, 14, 17, 14, and then 17, 14, 17, 14. So we have... But then after he finishes that, he goes into his wide 16th fret on the 3rd string vibrato. Like that, I think. Again, again, you could look it up and learn from anybody. My point was to look at how these things are built and give you some guitar tones to work with. Okay? Now, here's what I think is really interesting about this. When I was watching Andy showing how to play this, Andy was doing it like this. Okay? He was playing... So he's doing a hammer-on from 9 to 14. And then he would skip the last note, the last 12, he would go... let's see, where am I at? Okay? And again, nothing wrong with that. That works for Andy, or for Andy, and it sounds amazing, right? I'm just showing you that, again, you got to figure out what works best for you. For me, the way it works best is I tend to use a bit of an economy picking like I did in the Jakey Lee version, or the Jakey Lee example that I did. So what I do is I play down, down, up. And notice how I'm playing with my middle finger here because I want to set that up for everything else that's coming. It actually feels a little more comfortable to use my 3rd finger, but I don't want to switch when I have to go to the next one. So I'm starting with my middle finger, and I'm doing 2 downs, and then an up. Now, the only problem is when I get done and I want to move up, I just played a down, so I really can't play it down. Well, I could, I suppose, depending on how fast I can do this. So what I do is I play that as an up strum. So I'm playing down, down, up. And then here, I'm doing that as an up, and then going back. Okay? And then I do the next one. You see that? So another thing that you could do, and I know I used to do this when I was younger before, you know, the YouTube and everything like that, is I used to just slide. I'd go... That's how I used to play it, is just doing that slide. Okay, and then I started exploring trying to do that up instead. And really, I think what he's doing, if I'm going to be completely honest, is I think he's just alternate picking the whole thing. He's just going... You know, that sounds like more a Zakk thing, is alternate picking everything. And I actually started doing that last night, and I really enjoy it. It's just, it's a little bit different for me. It feels a little bit different from years of playing it another way and then going, oh, I bet that's really what he's doing to make that connection, because that totally makes sense with the way he plays. So hopefully that makes sense for you, and that gives you some different ideas of things to try and work on. Where this thing, just to finish that up, this thing, again, whether you pick them, whether you pull them, whatever you like to do, but basically what you're doing is playing F sharp minor, kind of 2 positions of F minor pentatonic. You know, you're adding that 2nd position kind of over here. Hey, Mark Nash is here. Tom Schultz says his were descending more so, not ascending. Okay, I'm not sure which one that is. Oh, you must be talking about Blackmore. So anyway, if that makes sense to everybody, that'll give you something to take a look at. And see if you can play a little bit. And then do me a favor. Make sure that if you do have a Spark amp, that you check out the tone cloud tones. And again, you might have to tweak them a little bit to your liking. What I did was I made the tones initially just coming out of the speaker, and I really liked the way they sounded. And then I plugged it in. And what I did incorrectly the first time is I ran stereo headphone out, stereo headphone into one channel, and I was getting so much reverb. And then I went, okay, well, let's split that. So then what I did was, again, as I told you at the beginning, I bought a converter that goes from stereo 1/4 inch to 2 mono 1/4 inch, and I ran it into 2 different channels on my audio interface, and it sounds wonderful. So for me, that's kind of the trick from now on, is being able to do that. Some people would use the USB interface from here, and that's great, but I can't do that when I'm talking to you because I have a microphone up here, and I have to be able to run more than one thing. If I was just doing recording, it would be fine to plug this in. But for doing what I do right now, I can't really do that. So that's why I'm running it the way I am. So again, one quick time through here. This is our Zakk Wylde tone that you can download. And then we've got, right here is our Jakey Lee tone. And then over here, we've got our Crazy Train, which I named that one Jakey Lee and that one Zakk. Why didn't I should have named this one Randy Rhoads, but listen. Oh, there we go. Can't be perfect on everything. But anyway, hopefully those things help you. So take care, stay positive, have a wonderful weekend. And if you get a chance, you can always head over to guitarzoom.com, check out my membership and different things like that for guitar content. And I can see if I can help you further with different things too. So take care, stay positive, and I'll talk to you sometime in the near future here. All right? Take care, everybody. Bye.